pedophilia is legal. That's right. It is legal here. See, if nobody cares, then it doesn't matter if it's against the law. The problem that we have now is that it's not just legal in that way, that they're trying to make it legal. Like if you rape your kids and then you intimidate them into not telling anybody, well then magically no crime was committed because you're not getting punished for it. That's fucked up. Now the politicians are trying to, and you see how quick they're pushing this in the UK and in the United States right now. They're pushing it real fucking fast. Try to make pedophilia an acceptable sexual orientation. So I got a question to those of you that got kids, because I've been hearing people say my whole life that they do this to pedophiles or they do that to pedophiles. Usually they say they'd kill them or cut off their genitalia, sick shit like that, but nobody ever does that. None of these people ever do that. None of them. Not one. Matter of fact, a few of those people, it turned out that they were pedophiles. I've heard enough of the people who molested me say that they think that pedophiles should have their balls cut off and then their heads. That when I hear people say shit like that, first thing going through my head is, you might be a fucking pedophile. That ain't a joke. But now they're trying to make it an official, acceptable. Yeah, no. If the politicians make that legal, I got a question for you. Is there any of you that would actually kill a politician if they passed a law like that? Are there any people who would actually kill a politician? Or would you be one of the 300 and something million Americans that would likely sit there in your living room complaining about how somebody should while the dude next door is fucking your 6-year-old? When they make it legal, it's a little late to fucking do something, because if you do something when they make it legal, then you're the criminal. If you do something now, you're stopping the criminals. I don't recommend killing these people. I recommend getting together with the other victims, and instead of doing what BLM has been doing, which is fight with the other victims about who's the biggest victim, we're no longer focused on police brutality. We're focused on blaming all white people, including the other fucking victims, and telling the other victims that it's their fault. No, that's not going to fly. I will fight to my last breath for the rights of minorities, including black folks. I'm not getting into bed with BLM, and here's why. Same reason that I won't get into bed with the Christians. If there's a good person in Germany in 1932, 1933, and he just happens to be a part of the Nazi Party, You know, at this point, he's doing it because he's being promised that you as a worker are going to have rights. It's not going to be like when Kaiser Wilhelm II ran the country during World War One. It's not going to be like that, where everybody has to build these weapons of war and everybody has to fight and everybody has to. That was an argument over three fucking cousins. The King of Great Britain, well, four cousins actually. All the descendants of Queen Victoria, every one of them. Her four grandsons, one of them was the Tsar of Russia, one of them was the Kaiser of Germany, one of them was the King of England. You see where I'm getting at, folks? These four rich assholes. What did we get out of that? We got more deaths in one war than all other wars prior. And then we got World War II, and that totally fucking made World War One look like a cat fight in a jello pool. So you got this guy in 1933. He's a Nazi because he's getting promised all this stuff, just like we see Republicans and Democrats and liberals promising here. And they tell you who to hate. They tell you who to blame your problems on. It's everybody else. It's never the politicians, or if it is, it's the other guy. Somebody named Booty Wart typed the Civil Rights Unite Discord server was asking about you. They want you to come back when you can. Am I part of the Civil Rights Unite Discord server? I'm part of SF Thrallith's disco server. But that's for Pirates of the Burning Sea. I'm sorry, Booty Wart. That's somebody's name over here in the live chat. Colorado Donkey Watch type, no we don't. Oh, that's yours, Donkey? Colorado Donkey Watch, folks. This is the guy, when I had spent 7 months, 8 months, something like that, trying to find out the name of the officer who assaulted me. Nobody would tell me. I found out it was Waylon Lolatai off of one of Colorado Donkey Watch's movies or things on here. Yeah, he's got I would not call that a civil rights server, Woody Wart. I wouldn't. I'd call it 40 trolls in a pod. Although there was a lot of useful stuff that I got out of that. A lot of those trolls in there. I was telling them what the police did to me and shit like that. And they're treating me like I was full of shit because it's illegal. And I'm like, you're trying to tell me that a police officer wouldn't do something that's illegal? Is that what you're trying to insinuate while you're in a group called the Civil Rights Unite? Colorado Donkey Watch, on the other hand, a lot of the stuff that he's been posting up, yeah, he's probably nuttier than fucking squirrel turds, but that don't mean he's wrong. You should probably get on his channel. That's actually a channel that I would recommend looking at. He really does try to show a lot of the stuff that's going on in Colorado, but also they already know his number. They already know what he's up to. So a lot of the stuff that they do to people like, well, a lot of stuff they do to people like me, they're not going to try on him. They already know that he's got a fucking camera, and they already know that it's hooked up to the internet, and they already know that if he goes to jail, there's people who are going to say something. So what are you doing here, Colorado Donkey Watch? What made you decide to come to my channel? Bonjour, is Israel D. I've had a lot of folks on here in the last few days that have been, well, nothing at all like the folks in that group. Those guys are just a bunch of damn trolls. And you know what? In Colorado Donkey Watch's defense, he did tell me they were just a bunch of trolls. It's just weird seeing him comment here on my channel. Like, what would bring multiple people from that to my channel here after all this time? That's a good question to ask. But if that hadn't been for him, I wouldn't have known the name of the officer who assaulted me. I had to ask him, I said, is that officer Lola Ty or is that officer her? And a lot of those trolls in there, they're typing at me stuff like, well, they had to give you their license. They had to. They had to give you their name and their badge number. No, they fucking didn't. Not if they can turn off their body cameras. Not if they can prevent their body cameras from being shown in court. Not if they can prevent me the right to take them to court by calling me mentally ill, and then automatically I must be guilty. That is just how it works. Just because it's illegal doesn't mean that they're not going to get away with it. And you assuming that they wouldn't do it because they're cops is kind of ignorant of someone in a civil rights server, of course. I mean, why do we have civil rights? Why did we have to formulate groups to fight for civil rights to begin with? It was because of police brutality. Specifically, police brutality. The same issue we're dealing with today. And you notice how steadily they're killing less and less black people and more disabled people and homeless people. That's because as soon as somebody can say, hey, I was targeted because, as long as they can come up with some way to convince somebody that, well, as long as it's covered by civil rights, like the color of your skin, but there's stuff that is covered by civil rights that you have to have representatives for. Like if you're disabled. But then when people don't accommodate your disabilities and rather use your disabilities as an excuse for violating your human rights, your civil rights, we got to catch 22. You're called mentally ill, so you can't speak for yourself. You have to have somebody else speak for you, but nobody else is going to speak for you. Nobody cares. We don't have representatives. I mean, you're not prevented from owning a firearm just because you're black. If you're born with a disability that they can call mentally ill, yeah, you're not allowed to own a firearm. If you tell on a predator and they put you on psychotropic medications, or you tell on your parents for raping you and you end up in a mental institution, you are no longer allowed to own firearms. Sometimes the actual predators do get in trouble, like Ted Bollinger. And the person who's not supposed to have firearms because of things they actually did. Now, that guy is not allowed to have firearms, but guess what? that guy can't own firearms because of crimes that he actually committed. Whereas the other person, you preemptively say that they're not human enough to be allowed to defend themselves. Most of the mentally ill people that I've seen, literal schizophrenic people, most of the literally schizophrenic people that I've seen go off on people, they didn't go off for no reason. They didn't. People were doing wrong shit to them and thought it was okay to fuck with somebody who was mentally ill because they could get away with it. They thought it was fucking funny. Like Donald Trump, when that disabled reporter was in there, and Donald Trump's going, oh, and thinks it's funny. It's not. It's not fucking funny. It's not a joke. You know, the most disgusting comedian alive today is Tim Allen. A lot of these guys are really, really not fucking funny. A lot of these new comedians, they're making jokes about rape and jokes about murder, and they think this is fucking comedy. But the most disgusting one is Tim Allen. Tim Allen and his show exactly what the fuck is wrong with America. Exactly the goddamn mentality that results in so many innocent people being fucking murdered and nobody cares. Tim Allen spends so much time on his show berating poor people and disabled people and mentally ill people and the homeless. That's all he's doing is making money off of making fun of people who are being abused. He's making a fucking shit ton of money off of exploiting the most abused people in America by doing things that he thinks is funny that are somehow his comedy that justifies doing these things, that justifies treating these human beings like this. Somehow you think that's fucking funny. Tim Allen, you're a sick son of a bitch. I loved your last show. I did. I loved Home Improvement. And there's a lot of stuff in there that you said that I was like, you know what, I don't fucking agree with that in the least bit. But there's a lot of funny stuff there, and I kind of understand some of those problems. I don't understand the PG rated upper middle class thing. I grew up poor. There's a lot of cursing, a lot of fuck yous and suck thises. Oh damn! Are you guys all from the Civil Rights Unite Discord server? Troll Boomer is a horrible troll. Yep, this is a whole fucking lot of them bastards. Donkey, you ran away already. Come back and talk to me. You know, Colorado Donkey Watch, I'm going to give you an update. You already know that Officer Waylon Lolatai is gone. You already know, I'm sure, that Clearview has been shut down, both for the things that I said they did to me that people wanted to pretend I was a liar for saying and a liar for showing. Archer 007, it says this message is held for review. Archer 007 types, I hate that server. It's nothing but tyranny in there. Donkey hates free speech. I'm going to show that. That's fucking funny, dude. It is tyranny in there. It's a bunch of trolls being trolls for the trolls' sake of being trolls. And then they all call each other trolls, and they all message you in private to tell you that everybody else is a bunch of fucking trolls. Meanwhile, it's not like you couldn't figure out they were a bunch of trolls based on the fact that they were trolling each other openly on the open troll channel. Archer 007 type donkey said you were crazy. He was making fun of you. I tried to stop him. Don't try to stop him. Fucking document that shit, homie. It shows the mentality I gotta deal with. See, it's people treating me like I'm crazy that drives me fucking crazy. We're not talking about just words here, and that's what everybody seems to overlook. Everybody seems to overlook that it's not just on the internet. Chris Kurth he lives in Chapel, Nebraska, the town I'm in now. He lives here. Sandy Fromm, she lives at a farm just 2 miles west of Lodgepole. Lodgepole is where I walk to school every day from here in Chapel, Nebraska. There are people in this town who remember driving past me on their way to work at Cabela's when I was walking to school in Lodgepole from Chapel, Nebraska. Boomer types. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I tell you. Why, thank you, my good man. I say a boom, chicka boom. I say a boom, chicka boom. I say a boom, a chicka raka, chicka boom. Fuck it, if you guys are gonna be here to troll, let's have some fun. I'll fucking treat it like a roasting. This is a mentality I gotta deal with. Might as well have some fucking humor at it, right? This is a lot fucking funnier than rape, isn't it? It's a lot fucking funnier than child molesting, isn't it? Archer 007 types. He's got like 3 cars and a house in Tennessee and one in Colorado. He hangs out with judges. Who? Me or Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Ronan, welcome back. This is the folks from that group. Donkey, come back. Your friends are here. Clash in Canada type dude. If you think this is funny, then you're fucked in the head. I agree with you, Clash in Canada. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, these guys getting on here to troll me after everything that I've been through, it's pretty fucked up. And what I should probably be doing is writing it all down and documenting it. But the fact is that it's in my live chat off to the right hand side. I'm reading everything aloud. Some of the stuff these guys was typing is funny. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Dude, that was a commercial that I loved when I was growing up. How am I not going to enjoy at least that part? If I'm going to have a bunch of trolls on my channel that are going to do the things that I've been used to trolls doing on my channel from the beginning, I mean, what am I going to do? Block all of you? What are you going to do then? You're going to make other fucking accounts and hop right back on here and fucking pester me some more, ain't you? Of course you are. You get blocked, you get pissed. You get pissed, you start being douches. And then you justify it by calling me crazy, by calling me a loony. See, I show the evidence, but then people still want to use the, oh, well, you did this and you did that. Well, no, I've showed that stuff too. See, just because my rights have been violated so completely doesn't mean that I didn't save as much evidence as I possibly fucking could. The problem is when you're called mentally ill, they can use that as an excuse. They can break the law and make it your word versus theirs. If you're in the system, it's easy to get raped. Same thing if you're in a fucking old folks home. It's easy for people to take advantage of you. The thing is that in order to take advantage of people, you have to, number one, have a position that allows you to do that. Number two, you got to be able to pick the right victims. All right, 51-55-0 typed. Archer, stop bullying donkey. See, it went from something that is very serious and heartfelt to a bunch of trolls over here that, well, this is their entertainment. This is their entertainment for this evening, getting on here. And they think it's funny. Ronan typed 51-55-0. Stop telling Archer what to do. Like a bunch of 5-year-olds. 51-55-0 typed Ronan, make me a sandwich. See, this is an actual group on Discord. The whole group coming on here. This is another example of what is known as gang stalking. These people are on here to harass me as a group. That's specifically what they came here for. That was their specific and intent and purpose in hopping on here. And that's what they started off with at the beginning. Right at the very beginning. Booty War types, the Civil Rights Unite Discord server group. You mean the troll who troll trolls group? Was asking about you. They want you to come back when you can. And Colorado Donkey Watch types, no, we don't. And then we get Israel D and Archer and Boomer going back and forth. Ronan types, roast me a tomato. 51-55-0 type. We are giving you viewers. 51-55-0 typed, I'm not here to harass you. Starmagius typed, you should continue with the intended purpose of your video. Trolls are like rats. Chi-Town Sue typed, what about me? I'll tell you what, guys, if you guys are here to try to show your support, I want to thank you. This is a very serious topic, and Star, you are very correct. All right, we're going to get back to this. So, Daniel Apathy, that's one of the people who only has me as a friend. I don't trust these people, but I don't hate them, and I do want to believe them. I also understand that they want to keep themselves safe. And that's important in all of this. A lot of these people who have been victims, they're too afraid to come forward. They want their names hidden. They want their identities hidden. And I would like to do that. I really would. As long as people are making an effort and trying to do something, then I can try to keep your name as secret as I can for as long as I can. But there are people's lives at stake. When I tried to tell on my abusers growing up, I was in the system. I wasn't lucky enough to be raped by my dad, like 80% of the people who are victimized. Now, is that the right way to say it? No, the hell it isn't. Those people are not lucky. Sure, I was in there because my parents were on cocaine, but a lot of the kids that I was in there with, they were in there because they were cutters. Cutters cut themselves for a very specific reason. When they're abused, nobody hears them. Each cut on them represents somebody who didn't listen. Every cut on them represents an effort or a time that they tried. Each one of those cuts is a time that they were afraid to. But there's a part two to it. Most of the time, these people did tell someone about the abuse that they were going through. They did tell their mom, or they did tell an officer and nothing happened, or they were treated like it was their fault. The worst one is when you tell your mom. If you tell an officer, he might do something. If you tell a teacher, that's the the first person you should go to as a child if you're being molested is your teacher. If you go to the teacher, then that teacher can help. That teacher will sit there with you through talking to that officer so that you don't feel scared or afraid. That officer is less likely to say those things that basically try to insinuate that you're making it up or that maybe you wanted it. Now, for kids, they're less likely to pull that second one. They usually pull that on rape victims that are adults. But Daniel Apathy let me know that over there in the UK that they were starting to try to introduce laws to make pedophilia an acceptable sexual preference. Same as being straight or gay or, well, I guess that still depends because there's homosexuals here in the United States still fighting for basic rights. On the bright side, at least with homosexuals, they have the fact that it is a hate crime to target them. That makes people less likely to target them. But who do you target when everybody that you want to target is protected because it's a hate crime, including child molesters? Yes, that is right, folks. Child molesters have been protected under federal law for a lot of years. Going after a sexual predator will get you locked up just as if you went after somebody because they were black. You're not allowed to go after child molesters. It's a hate crime. It's like killing somebody because they're Mexican or saying it's okay to rape them if they're a woman or something screwed up like that. Jeffrey Epstein, exactly. Thank you, Elizabeth Salinas. We got a brigade of trolls here. They may be well intentioned, and if that's the case, then great, we could use them. If not, I mean, hell, we got you still, Elizabeth. Elizabeth types money gets you off. Booty Wart typed, were you the butler in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Steal this book when again, 5150. 50. I'm jealous. I hear that is a great neighborhood. Elizabeth Salinas type, they need to troll elsewhere. Well, Elizabeth, they're not going to. I've actually argued with these guys before. I was trying to get help. Like I said, I kept trying to get help, and I kept running into, well, a lot of people like this. Now, a couple of them claim that they're here to show support, so I'm trying not to get sidetracked. We need to find a way to get it legal to actually go after the predators. We need to identify the fact that, yes, if you see a woman who's got those scars, there is a reason. The number one reason is that mom didn't listen when she told on dad. It's not that dad raped her that she's cutting herself for. It's because mom didn't listen. And when mom didn't listen, she was afraid to go to anyone else. I was molested at some apartments up in Washington State shortly after I moved there. And I was in a hot tub, and the man felt that it was okay to fondle me in the bathtub. Now, I'd already been through worse than that. I mean, by this point, I have fucking had men's dicks in my mouth and in my butthole. Okay, I mean, what this man is doing to me in the bathtub is nothing by comparison with being in the system. I assure you that. But I was supposed to go to the hot tub and wait for my dad and Eric to get there. Eric is my older brother's name. And they were taking too long because this dude was, well, able to have access to do that. I did the intelligent thing though. I got out of the bathtub or out of the hot tub. I walked back to our apartment. My dad and Eric weren't there yet. And I told my older brother. I told my older brother what that dude in the fucking hot tub had done. And he didn't believe me. And it took me, I want to say, a good 2 to 3 months to ever speak up again after that, because here's what happened. I've been able to read. I've had a college reading level since I was 6. And an 8th grade spelling level at age 6 too, by the way. And I was walking by and I read a bulletin saying there was a registered sex offender in the area, and that he lived in our apartment, and that he had not divulged that like he was supposed to, and that he may have touched some people in the neighborhood. I went, yeah, I should probably tell. And I tried telling my dad, and he didn't really listen at first. And he said, well, why didn't you come forward with this before? I said, I told Eric. He didn't believe me. I've been through similar situations. Similar. Like when I was raped, it was a lot more horrible. But when I went to go tell somebody, that one, a lot of people would be like, well, why would you even tell on somebody for touching your balls in a hot tub? Like, there are people out there who are being raped. Why the hell would you think that anybody would take any time to do anything about your balls getting touched? But then there are those people that once you let them have that inch, when you tell them that you have been raped, that a grown man has forced his penis inside of your rectum, and you are told, it's all in how you look at it, man. Like if you were in Africa, they'd have cut your chest up, cut your balls off, put you in a tire, and lit you on fire. You should be glad all they did is rape you. They're saying that I should be glad that I wasn't in Africa. That because things are worse elsewhere, that I shouldn't complain about what's going on here. That because I would have been mutilated in a foreign country, that I shouldn't complain about the crimes here that I have to take. Children don't have any defenses. The only defense that they have is for you to give a shit and for you to document it. In a lot of these child facilities, the number one thing that they need is surveillance. These are children. These are children. They are extremely vulnerable. If somebody in one of those facilities wants to rape that child and then accuse that child of, well, being schizophrenic, and then giving them medications that are known to have the side effects of such a thing, you've got a major issue here. You've got somebody who not only has the position to do that and the know-how to do that, but he's also got the motivations. Let's see. Steal this book again. Type Ronan, I admire that about you. What are your thoughts on this, Tard? Ronan typed he was trolling the trolls. Moody Wart, are you in a utility closet or is that your living room? This is my house. It's a 5x5 box. When I leave here, I'm gonna head up north. I'm gonna take a shower. Thank goodness I could use it. All right. We're just gonna ignore all of the troll names at this point. Elizabeth Solanus typed, "I'm so many situations, adults and the system fail children over and over." Perfect example is pedo priests. No one listened to the children. And that's true. It's absolutely true. But also look at these families. Look at what Ted Bollinger did. Look at how much his family has done to try to hide that fact, to try to hide the things that Ted Bollinger did, to try to hide the fact that he raped his daughters over and over and over. How can you tell the child you love them when you're spending more time trying to hide the fact that their uncle touched them wrong or daddy touched them wrong? You're covering for their predator, motherfucker. No, they don't feel loved. When I say I got lucky that I wasn't raped at home, there's a reason for that. My dad would never do that to me in a million years. My dad would never even think to touch me inappropriately like that. As far as that goes, my dad is a good man. He's a stupid piece of trash, all right? He's fucking he's a he's a redneck in a tux, basically. He's a lot more dressed up than his brain power or social class truly allow. There's a lot of people who told me about their predators and even named their predators. I told everybody I wasn't going to keep your secrets. It gets people killed. A lot of these folks wanted me to help them. A lot of these folks promised to help me. And it was difficult to know which. A lot of these people were very indirect about what they wanted. Starmasia typed, they tell you to be grateful when they don't want to hear about the abuse. They don't care because it didn't happen to them. And that is a good point. That is literally something that I've probably said in about 80% of my videos since well before Natalie was killed. It's okay as long as it didn't happen to you. Like homeless. Nobody cares about the homeless until they're homeless. And then, of course, it's too late because nobody listens to the homeless. But my point is that we need to cut these motherfuckers off. I mean, we discover that our government officials, as well as possibly government officials from other first world countries, are involved in a very huge pedophile ring. And I've been telling you about this shit going on the local levels too. I posted up witnesses of this shit on the local levels, people that I personally know. When I said that I know all the people that fucking break this shit down, I wasn't kidding. A lot of the witnesses that are on here, a lot of them that are pissed off, they're pissed off because they have alternate lifestyles. Some of them, they think that having their name on my channel because of all the bullshit is going to harm them, or people will target them or harm them. And you know, they might get harassed at this point, but it's been a few years, and I don't think that anybody's going to go shoot them in the head because I mentioned their name. I'm pretty sure that the only person in any real danger of getting shot in the head at this point is me. When an adult tells you to keep a secret, they're doing something wrong 100% of the time. You know, all these adults through all of this asking people to keep secrets, asking people to keep secrets. People who can't keep my name out of their mouth, and then they want to tell me to keep their name out of mine. I haven't been asking people to keep secrets. I've been asking people to tell the truth. I've been asking them to speak up. There's a lot of people that are mad at me because I told on their predators and spoke their predators' names. Well, if you weren't doing that and you were doing that to manipulate, that's a pretty fucked up thing to do. And if they did actually do those things, which I do want verification first, unless it's an emergency fucking situation. If you tell me you're afraid of somebody and you're going to contact me once a week because you're paranoid and you want me to know that you're okay, if you don't contact me, what am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to do in that scenario? I'm going to flip the fuck out. And that's what I did. It turned out that the guy that she was afraid of, that she was going to call me every week, make sure that her and the boy are okay. She didn't answer for 2 weeks straight. I didn't have any confirmation that she was okay or alive or anything. I hadn't heard anything in town. When somebody moves away from town and there's only 1 or 2 people they keep in contact with from that town, you might not hear about them disappearing for a year. Of course, if they were really popular, you might hear about it within a couple hours. Depends on where you are at the social ladder. But we got kids in the system. There's really not a social ladder there. Now, if you make pedophilia illegal, you need to keep in mind that most of the pedophiles are relatives. You do understand that the most watched porn in America is incest porn, right? The number one person you need to look out for is always your own family. A lot of y'all, when you need somebody to go to, you can go to family. But what about when your family is the other type? We got folks trying to make laws to make it even more legal for these pedophiles. Do you know why it is legal for these pedophiles to rape, to get away with it, to do it continually? It's because of all the accessories. All of the people that you told it was going on who did nothing, who scared you into saying nothing, who made you feel as if you were a bad person for coming forward. You got no idea how many children were molested who are in the system or out of the system, even who are raped by their parents, and they are forced to normalize with their aggressor, with their attacker, with their predator. I mean, after you've cut yourself, try and get the attention. And you're not doing it for attention's sake. People say, you just did that for attention. You're damn right she did it for attention. Nobody's listening. He's hurting me and nobody's listening. They'll do something if I hurt myself. They just won't do anything about him. A lot of times when you tell on your predator, you have a choice between either you stay there with your abuser or because you're a child, you go into the system. Pedophilia becoming an acceptable thing where these doctors can legally fuck you now if they're into kids. I mean, if you're going to make that legal, there's a lot of stuff going right along with that. Like now you're going to say that 6-year-olds can give consent for a 40-year-old man to hold up here. Hold the fuck up. Kenneth Zarecki was 29 years old, having sex with a 14-year-old. Nearly everybody in this fucking town knew it. Why has he gotten away with it? Because it's acceptable. In this community full of pedophiles, it's acceptable. Just keep it quiet, keep it hush hush, and it never happened. Of course, then all these pedophiles, when there's an innocent man who's on the news being accused of shit, they all want to fucking tuck and run. Or they want to hate on me. They want to go, oh, well, that's a good cover there. If I pretend I hate Sean, people will be like, yeah, see, he never molested anybody. He hates child molesters. He hates Sean. I'm like, fuck, I never molested any children. There are 0 children who have ever accused me of molesting them. 0. There's 0 fucking adults that have ever accused me of molesting them. How screwed up is that? We can't walk into a single courthouse in America and say, all right, I want to see Sean Schwartz's registration papers as a sexual offender. All of this stuff about me being abused over something I supposedly did to Alicia, because obviously I couldn't have done those things to Natalie. I didn't have the access, number one. And number two, by her own words, they didn't happen. So that leaves Alicia. Alicia must be this person who I magically did these terrible things to that these people in Chapel, Nebraska want to victimize me for even. I'm still speaking out about pedophiles for a reason. A lot of y'all are telling me, it's fucked up. Ash D telling me about uh, how they're trying to make that legal in Great Britain now. I mean, they get this Prince dude who is, they're wanting to ask questions. The FBI wants to talk to him, and now the British government is starting to introduce pro pedophile laws. And the United States is trying to push pro pedophile laws. They're going to pass these pro pedophile laws probably on the day where they decide that they're going to say, we have had the largest death toll of any day at all during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'll have a little footnote and a little ticker tape at the bottom. Just once. All right, we got Steal This Book again down there. Being a troll again. When I was a kid, I was offended, highly offended. The fact that I didn't have any rights because I was a kid, but I was promised I'd get them as an adult. I was just hoping that I would grow big enough that these people couldn't do these things anymore, and I did. Around 13 years of age, it was a little too difficult for most people to manhandle me well enough to rape me. And besides that, I let them know under no uncertain circumstances if they got their dick in my mouth, the only satisfaction they were going to get out of it is the fact that I would eventually have to shit it out. Because I was going to bite down as hard as I could, and I was going to shake my head like a dog and swallow it. You're not getting it back. It's not yours anymore. I was in Fairfax Mental Hospital in Kent, Washington. This is, if you guys have watched the movie Patch Adams, this is the hospital he's at the very beginning. It's a real hospital. It actually exists. No fantasy. It's an actual fucking hospital. So I got this roommate, and he's pretty hefty. And he decides that he's going to mount up on me while I'm sleeping. We got these hard plastic mattresses, and I got a blanket over me. And we're all wearing sweatpants. That's all you're allowed to wear in there. You wear sweatpants with no string in them. Is that restricted number again? Yep, it's restricted number again. That's my local troll. Restricted number. harassment, mass quantities of it. So what we're dealing with here is that when I went to help a friend, and that friend literally made me feel guilty and shitty and horrible for not being there already. She said, if you're not already on your way, I'm going to kill myself. And then she ran her vehicle into a fucking tree. Like, that's a pretty fucking hefty emotional goddamn play on a human being. What, if I don't drive 1,700 miles to Virginia right now, you're going to fucking kill yourself? Like, you're literally going to make an attempt right now tonight. I'm telling you that I'm doing my best. I'm jumping through all of these fucking hoops here in Chapel, Nebraska to try to get a vehicle legal, up and running, and fucking safe because the brakes fucking suck. I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff that I'm not physically able to even do, that is going to take me a while to recover from, so that I can earn the money to fucking drive to see you. I'm trying to keep my word, Natalie. I'm doing my fucking best. Don't fucking try to kill yourself. I'm working on it. Give me a few days and I'll be on the road. But no, she couldn't wait a couple of fucking days. Wham into that fucking telephone pole. And she sent me a bunch of pictures and a picture of her leg. You know, that's the thing, is that I went there at her request. I was made to feel as if the difference between life and death was whether or not I was there. I mean, she kept her word. Sean, if you're not already on your way, I'm going to try to kill myself. And wham, into a telephone pole. And I went. And the money that I had so that I could take care of myself while I was there, and so that I could visit the other people I planned on seeing, that money went to turning around mid-trip to go save, rescue, whatever, Jamie and the boy from James Payton. And I did that, and I got back on the fucking road. By the time I got there, the other people that I had gone to rescue, most of them had already found their way back. Mahalia no longer needed a ride, so that was good. Of course, it meant that I didn't get hooked up with her art contacts there in Richmond, but that's all right. You know, while I was there in Virginia, I was trying to find art outlets to draw art and make some money with that. And that's the problem, is that the things that we experience as children follow us for the rest of our lives. There are certain tags and certain labels that will make us victims for the rest of our lives. Making pedophilia legal. Most pedophiles are having sex with their own family members, so now you have to make incest legal. And in order to make pedophilia legal, you have to make it legal to have sex with children. And I ain't having that. I don't even have kids. But yeah, I'd fucking die for that. I would die to prevent those laws from being introduced and put into place. I'd rather we stop it now than you guys complain later on that you have to let the neighbor fuck your kid. Or you have to let your brother come over and stick his dick in your daughter. Starmagia type, do you know how to draw? Yes, I do. If I can get on my Facebook, I can show you a couple of pictures I drew. No, not that one. I'm sorry, the phone is fucked up. Apparently I got 7 notifications on Facebook. Ha! Mandy Singer, she typed, "Don't disturb my peace by telling me what other people said about me. Keep it to yourself. They told you, not me." Oh, damn, Clyde Townsend. I'm at him as a friend. He's actually a witness to the situation at the Super 8. That was a situation where they were targeted because of the color of their skin. It was not okay. I was also targeted because of the color of their skin. Let's see. My pictures. There's a self-portrait that I drew while I was in Arapahoe County Jail. There's another one here that actually has to do with the Natalie case. People tried to pretend that I drew this picture after I left Virginia because I was absolutely infatuated with Natalie and I was in love with her and she was the only woman for me, and if I can't have her, nobody can. Truth of the matter is, she asked me to draw a picture of her. I drew a picture of her as a gift for her mother while I was in Virginia. I gave that picture to her. Let's see, maybe we can view full size. And people wanted to pretend I was some sort of psycho, fucking stalking her after I left Virginia and all this, that, and the other, and tried to pretend like this is evidence that I was stalking her and infatuated with her and in love with her. And I'm like, no, that picture, her mama's had that picture since I was in Virginia. That's who that picture went to. It's not something that was drawn after the fact. It's not some creepazoid shit that I did after I left Virginia because I couldn't get over it or some fucking creepy ass psycho stalker goddamn bullshit. There's also a here's one. This is probably stage 2 or stage 3. I don't know. It's not quite finished in this one. Um, but I drew that for Natalie in 2016. I sent it through the mail to her along with a bunch of art supplies because she was laid up because she had fucked up her leg trying to kill herself. And I did feel responsible for her leg being busted because I wasn't already on the way. I mean, she made me feel completely like shit for that. But I drew that picture to let her know she was my hero, and I sent her the art supplies because I knew she was going to be laid up. I made sure I got there to keep my word and keep my promise. Here's the thing that Natalie was molested by her dad. Natalie was molested by her uncle Troy. Troy Bollinger, Ted Bollinger. Both of them molested her. Bobby Forrest, his testimony is on this YouTube. A lot of other testimony from people who are victims is on this YouTube. They won't listen to me. I hope they'll listen to you. Anyway, I gotta go. Don't let this pedophilia acceptance act bullshit pass just because you're afraid of catching a fucking cold. Yes, a cold can kill you too. COVID-19 isn't a joke. I get that. A lot of y'all are superbly afraid of COVID-19. I get that. But are we going to allow our entire future after COVID-19 be tarnished, disrespected, destroyed? We need to pay attention to what the fuck is going on. These guys have a history of holding one hand out and doing something over here. Starmagia type disgusting people won't stop until their prey are completely unprotected. We're already unprotected. Can you not see that? Star, I am unprotected. I've been unprotected my whole life. My very first abusers were in the system. My very first abusers were the type of people who had the power to justify what they had done and to hide it, to make my words mean absolutely nothing. Elizabeth Line has typed, "You're a very talented artist." Starmagia type, "Drawing is one of my favorite things to do. They're nothing professional, but I like them." Elizabeth Line has typed, "It's a good outlet. I color in coloring books as an emotional outlet." Starmagia typed, "You're a great artist. It is a good outlet." Elizabeth Line has typed, "Nick Fury from Avengers. Cool drawing. Thank you." I don't draw anymore. It's traumatic. It's one of my triggers now. I've had so many horrible experiences in the last 4 years. Like I don't understand how it is that I don't see how black people aren't fighting for my rights right now. I don't know how to explain that. They're literally fighting for the same things that I am. They're literally asking for the same things that I am. They're literally enduring the same things that I am, but not at nearly the same pace. I'm fighting for their rights, fighting for these children's rights because I was one of those children. It's not that I am pro any racial group. It's that I am anti-police brutality. I am anti anything that allows the most victimized people in America to be more vulnerable because they're victimized. And that's what we've got right now. Starmagia typed, "I'm sorry about that." Well, I am too. I got too much to do. I've got so much to do that I shut down. What's the purpose of me doing things if they're not going to listen to me? That's the important part. In the beginning, if people had helped, it wouldn't have taken very long. It would have taken just a few minutes of their time. It wouldn't have taken anything at all for them to help. But after 4 years of this, now they say, "Well, there's nothing I can do. There's just too much, John. There's too much. There's too much." You see how easily that these officers are able to use their position to get away with these things, how they're able to manipulate hospitals into giving them what they want. I didn't need to be injected. I needed an officer and I needed a safe place. There was no reason at any point in time for me to be taken in for a mental health check. See, they tried pretending that I wasn't trying to get help. But the thing is, when I admitted what these people were doing to me, nobody cared about what they were doing to me. All they wanted to do is lock me up and drug me. Each and every one of those times that one of these places put drugs in me for trying to turn in the cops. Each and every time that these bastards took me in on suicide watch. I was trying to turn in my abusers. But no matter what, they don't want to hear that. They are not interested in any of that when you're a male, especially when you're trying to tell on them. The fact that I've been trying to turn in Scott DaCosta for 3 years, and I've met nothing but roadblock after roadblock, excuse after excuse. All Scott's got to do is tell one fucking lie, and that's enough. In every single one of these cases, all he's got to do is tell one fucking lie. Just one. And these people stop listening to me. It's like you have it droned into your head that you have to listen to the cops. The cops must always be telling the truth. The cops are always telling the truth. The cops are always telling the truth. No cop would ever lie. The cops are your friends. The cops would never, ever lie to you. They're your friends. You want to be friends with the cops. You do. Did that work? Yeah, no, I wasn't doing that because I'm crazy. I did that to make an example. I mean, really, these are human beings. Is really that far of a stretch to believe that a human being could ever possibly not be perfect? Putting on a badge doesn't make you Jesus. And putting on a gun certainly don't make you Jesus. Starmagia typed, I know the feeling. Elizabeth Salinas typed, they wanted to sweep you under the rug. They did, Elizabeth. They did. Their tactics work. That's why I'm trying to change the laws. That's why I continue to speak out. That's why I exploit the fuck out of these loopholes. You know the loophole your husband used to get away when he raped you? Yeah, I exploited the fuck out of it. And I recorded it. I recorded me exploiting these loopholes. I can show you, not just tell you that this is why these things work. This is why these guys get away. This jurisdictional thing. You guys know this isn't a joke. When it's your word versus theirs, you're screwed. But when you save the evidence, when you save the screenshots, and you save the videos, you can actually show the truth. Problem is that you can't do that if you're called mentally ill. Their protocol is literally to abuse you and to shut you the fuck up. Legally, these guys are supposed to do something when I bring abuse to them, but look at this, 4 years worth of abuse, trying to show them in person. And what happens? I get excuses and bullshit. And I have to go back to officers who broke the law repeatedly. Are you going to be able to tell me that a cop is a good cop when it's legal for your neighbor to have sex with your kid, and that cop isn't going to do anything about it because it's legal? It's legal, isn't it? I mean, how far of extremes do we have to go to? We've already gone to the extreme that it's okay for cops to murder people, murder innocent, unarmed people. claim that they were armed. I mean, look at those cops in Boulder. They tried to claim 4 unarmed people on 4 separate occasions were armed, myself being the first. There isn't much more that they can allow the cops to get away with without straight up just saying, hey, do whatever the fuck you want. We're fine with it. Here's your gun and your badge. There's no checks and balances. The checks and balances that they have in place now allow your predators forewarning. You have to call their superior officer before you can turn them in. How fucked up is that? You call their superior officer. Now their superior officer knows that you're trying to turn them in and you're trying to get a court date against them. All they got to do is say something to their employee. Their employee immediately starts covering up their bullshit. And you still have to call 6 more agencies that are going to tell you that it's not their job. Kids can't defend themselves. They can't protect themselves. And you guys doing nothing or turning a blind eye because it's not happening to you is going to make it okay to happen to everybody. And that's not a joke. Elizabeth Salinas typed, they wanted to sweep you under the rug and act like nothing was going on and labeled you mentally ill and drugged you up. Yes, that's right. They accused me of being on drugs when I wasn't on drugs and then thought they would fix me by putting drugs in me. And then later on, when I admitted that I had had these people multiple times put drugs in me for trying to turn them into my predators, these people tried to call me mentally ill, schizophrenic, whatever. How is somebody schizophrenic for trying to turn in a bad cop or to turn in actual predators who are harming them over shit that was actually in the news? That's not a hallucination. Natalie was not a hallucination. Her death was not a hallucination. This box that I am in is not a hallucination. Waylon Lolatai is not a hallucination. Clearview is not a hallucination. The things that I told you that they did, I documented. When Clearview was finally on the news, finally, I'd already told all of you what was going on. Those of you who listened, those of you who were paying attention, I already let you know the lowdown on Clearview. But even after they got busted, still nobody wanted to hear my side. Same thing with Waylon Lolatai. Tony Kovaleski covered both of those stories. He covered Waylon Lolatai's story, and he also had a second segment on Clearview Behavioral Health. Where was I sent when I tried to turn in Waylon Lolatai? Clearview Behavioral Health. When you don't do anything about these children and what's happening to them as children, they become adults. They get dropped off at the fucking crack of the door with absolutely nothing. You're not in the system anymore. You don't have ID. You don't have a driver's license. You got jack fucking shit with the clothes on your back. Oh, yeah. And it's illegal for you to exist because you're homeless now. It's illegal for you to go to the bathroom. It's illegal for you to go to sleep. It's illegal for you to use a blanket. You'll probably have your first ticket by the end of the month, likely before the end of the week. Most homeless people, their first infraction with the law ever, their entire lives, is a camping ticket because they're trying not to freeze to death. Now you're a criminal because you don't want to fucking freeze to death. That's what these kids in the system got to look forward to. They've already learned that there's never going to be any help for them. If they tell on their predators that they're going to be victimized, but they keep cutting on themselves because they have hope, even if only barely. The reason that they're cutting their skin just shallow enough to make it red instead of cutting their own fucking throats is because they have hope. When you take away her hope, she cuts her wrists in the bathtub. I I am what happens if you don't do anything about this. I am what happens when you allow the predators to victimize someone over and over and over again. And it's a matter of popularity. Who's got the money? Yeah, sure, he may fuck little kids, but he pays my wages kind of thing. You say there's nothing we can do about it. You can work the fuck together, and that's the only thing you can do about it. Starmasia typed, if more people spoke out, do you think it would help people who are just viewers? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Starmasia typed, that happened to me. I had to leave it, though. Starmasia typed, nothing I said would have changed anything. See, that's the defeatist attitude that makes people viewers. I don't mean that as an insult. See, most people, when they say they can't, they haven't tried. They just assumed that they can't, and that's it. If I just assumed that I couldn't draw when I was 15, I never would have become an artist, and I never would have drawn any pictures for anyone. Y'all be safe. I gotta let you go for now. Fight tooth and nail, please. If you don't fight tooth and nail now, if you tell yourself that there's nothing that you can do now, you're teaching your kids that there's nothing that they can do. And they'll teach their kids there's nothing they can do. And they will teach their kids there's nothing they can do. Be a whole lot nicer if you taught them to fight tooth and nail, wouldn't it?